वल्ल निस्वार्थं वन्दे रूप सनातन.
To the Sankirtan movement, and all glories to the members of the Hare Krishna Society and the Prabhupada Disciples Association, which are basically one and the same thing, because all of the members of the Hare Krishna Society are Prabhupada disciples. Sometimes people accuse me of being a Ritvik. Some of these junior devotees, untrained people, they have no real experience in spiritual life or any resume, but they call me a Ritvik. Oh, you're a Ritvik. I said, let me correct you, please. I'm a Prabhupada disciple, not a Ritvik. Prabhupada disciple and Ritvik are two different terms with different meanings. And this is something that a lot of people do not understand. Like the term Prabhupada Nuga, that's a relatively new term. I've never seen it written in any Prabhupada's books. Maybe there are, so I could be corrected. I'm not criticizing that. It means a follower of Śrīla Prabhupāda, of course. Yet in some of these Prabhupada Nuga groups, there are people that still do not understand what it means to be a disciple of Śrīla Prabhupāda. And they go around, they fault find, they criticize the Prabhupada disciples that are in that group. And in this way, they show their true colors. Now, it's important to note, if you want to make advancement in spiritual life, you have to be serious. Very serious. Prabhupada discusses that in many of his lectures. There's no point in accepting a guru for fashion or any other reason than except to become spiritually aware of your eternal position as a servant of Krishna. Now, think about it like this, Prabhus. If you want to learn something, whether it's medicine, for example, do you go to the university and study from a second-class physician? Do you? Well, if you do, guess what will happen? You'll be a second-class physician. You'll be second-class when you go out and practice medicine, because you learned from a second-class physician. Similarly, like in any field, if you're really serious, you don't want to get a teacher that doesn't know what he's doing. In fact, it's known that if you go to some of these places and they teach you something and they're second class, when you come to the first class institution, they tell you, forget everything and we're going to charge you more to come and learn from us, because you've got all of these flaws that you've learned from these people that won't allow you to become first class. First class means you have a first class teacher, a first class master, whether it's the base, whether it's medicine, whether it's legal affairs. In the material world, you look for the best. That's what an intelligent person will do, who's really serious. If you're not serious, then you won't seek out the master. In the same way, in this mission that we're in, you want to be connected with the real master. Who is the bona fide spiritual master in the disciplic succession coming from Lord Chaitanya? And there is only one bona fide spiritual master currently operating in this world. That is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada in his Vani incarnation. The Vani incarnation of Śrīla Prabhupāda is non-different than Śrīla Prabhupāda. Just like the name of Krishna. The name of Krishna and Krishna are non-different. They're non-dual. When you speak the name of Krishna, Krishna is there. That's why we chant our rounds every day. So, in the same way, Prabhupada, and it was interesting to note, everyone, that recently I was listening to a lecture of Prabhupada, and he said this, specifically relating to Lord Chaitanya. He was saying that everything that Lord Chaitanya spoke was Shastra. Not just what's written down, every word that he spoke. In fact, Lord Chaitanya, that's what he did. He spoke. And people recorded what he spoke. And this became Shastra. So in the same way, when all of us study Prabhupada's work, his tremendous voluminous volume of work, his books, his letters, his lectures, if you listen to them carefully, you'll see that everything he says is extremely profound and revealing because Prabhupada is acting on behalf of Krishna. And there is no difference between the words of the pure devotee and Krishna himself. This is called transparent via media. Someone may not understand that. I realize that it's not an easy subject. It takes a lifetime of practice to figure this out, maybe many lifetimes. And we're very fortunate in our group. We have bona fide disciples here. Bona fide guru, bona fide disciples. And the goal of this mission with our group, all of you Prabhupada disciples, is to protect Prabhupada's legacy in his sound vibration moving forward into history. This is, I was speaking to Yashodananda yesterday about this, and he mentioned this is very serious, this protection of the legacy. I go, yes, it is. And our god brother, Yashodananda Prabhu, exemplifies that principle. When you attend the classes and when you participate in these programs with us, you'll see, especially from him, he's always referring to Prabhupada's instructions, and then we explain based on people's capacity to understand Prabhupada. If you don't have the capacity, if you've been contaminated by these other so-called fake gurus, if you're involved in all kinds of different missions and movements, then you're going to have trouble. You will, and you'll have confusion. And then you have to deal with it as you're moving forward to the time of death, because that's what everyone is on, a journey from birth to death. So, Prabhupada, enough of that today. Just a few thoughts to get started and let everybody get to the class. Remember, the class does start at 10 o'clock. So, if you missed some of the parts of our class from 10 to 11:30, you can go back to Hare Krishna Society YouTube channel and hear the classes again. I was talking to Joe Felice here, Bhakta Joe Felice. He goes, he liked the class so much yesterday. He goes, I'm going to go back to the class later and watch it again. He wanted to watch it again because he felt he missed some very important points that came up in the discussion with all of us in that session. So you can go back and look at these classes and study them. Go to Prabhupada lectures. Listen to those. They're the ones in March here, March 3rd, where we're going to read from the diary. The lecture that day is actually recorded. So all the lectures throughout March are recorded on Prabhupada Vani, and you can go to that site and listen to these classes and be right connected to Śrīla Prabhupāda in his journey to spread this mission in real time through the miracle of the internet. So we'll go to March 3rd. I think that's where we are, Vinkat Pada. Yes, we are. So Thursday, March 3rd, 1966 in New York City. So today, Ekadasi was observed, no letters received. In the evening, only 2 visitors came. Oh, but he still recorded the class. There were some topics on the meditation yoga, expenditure, boot polish, and lace, 46 cents, and income contribution, $1. Dr. Mishra wanted my kirtan in his meetings. I'm considering the proposal. The situation is adverse. These people were Mayavadis. They weren't interested in having him speak, just chant. Let me first of all see how they receive it. In the Ananda ashram, I was outside of town there, Jones presented me a copper cup, very nice, thanks. On February 4th, March 1966. Today, one letter sent to Boyd Compton of the Rockefeller Foundation, asking him exchange cooperation. The meals were taken at Dr. Mishra's, and the income was $9 contribution in books, and there was no expenditure. And remember this, Prabhupada had no cooking facilities, none. He was staying in an office that was not suitable for living accommodation. Of course, he was extremely austere and renounced, much different than the modern day sannyasis that live in luxury apartments in their compounds built by their disciples. What can I do? My disciple built it. Saturday, the 5th of March, today I have sent one letter to the Secretary, Salvation Army, 14th Street, West New York, for exchange. At 2 o'clock, went to Ananda Ashram. Kirtan was performed in evening, very much appreciated. And the night passed at Ananda. Logically, more accommodation for him. Yolanda gave me a calendar, and there was no expenditures. A student of Dr. Mishra's, that's who Yolanda was, Ananda. And look at this picture. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? That's the Gargamunian behind him, I think. But just see, back in time, but still alive with us, Śrīla Prabhupāda in his diaries. We're very fortunate to have this. March 6th, 1966. Another day in eternity. Sunrise at 6:30, sunset at 5:53, moonrise at 5:28, full moon 8:46 p.m. Today, whole day passed at Monroe Ananda Ashram. In the morning, there was kirtan, and it was very much appreciated. Returned from Monroe at 6 p.m., talked with Mr. Majid of Tehran, Iran, interested in spiritual rejuvenation of the world. Took lesson for more than 1.5 hours. So there's a lecture you can go to, everyone. Please make sure you make a point, if you're serious, to go and hear these lectures. According to Mayapur Panjika, today is Adivas, day of Gaur Purnima. Devotees at Vrindavan and Navadvip are enjoying the celebration. I'm here alone without any devotee companion. But I have come here to serve the Lord and not for personal happiness. I am prepared to live in hell. Feels like that, doesn't it? Even if I'm able to serve the Lord. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted that his mission should be propagated all over the world. And that is my objective. I do not mind the inconvenience personally felt. A.C. Bhaktivedanta. These times appear to have been copied from the Vaishnava calendar. Śrīla Prabhupāda copied them into the diary for easy reference, and 23, the Vaishnava calendar, published annually by the Gaudiya Math. And we follow that calendar according to the Mayapur calendar, and you can get that on our newsletter, which we distribute monthly to our large list of membership here at the Prabhupada Disciples Association Hare Krishna Society. Monday, the 7th of March, this would be the last calendar reading for today. Sunrise 6:28, sunset at 5:54, moonrise at 6:51, Pratipada in the evening, Lord Chaitanya's birthday. Fasting observed till 5:30 p.m. So we fasted up to 5:30, broke fast by eating fruits and milk. From Sunra. 7 ladies and a gentleman attended. Today's meeting, there was topics on Gita and Kirtan. The collection made out of contribution and books was $28, and my expenditure was $1.15. So this gives us some very deep insights into Prabhupada's early days and the legacy that we're trying to protect that he established with the Hare Krishna movement. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. We'll move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, and then the class and discussion, reading and discussion from Twain Harte, California, with Yashoda Nandana Prabhu. All glories to the Sankirtan mission.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Amaspa Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Sattva Smadhati Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai. Ramacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Bhog Gopinath Sam Khand Radha Khand Giri Godhan ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Navadvip Dham ki Jai. Ganga Mai ki Jai. Jamuna Mai ki Jai. Guru Dwarka Dham ki Jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. All glories to the Assemblity. All glories to the Assembly. Thank you very much.
All glories to you, Śrīla Prabhupāda. All glories to you, Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. From Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskrityam. Narayanam namaskrityam. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim saraswatim vyasam. Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Tato jayam mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, to the number 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the Bhagavata Purana. As we do every week, we will be reading a few selected verses from the first canto, second chapter, describing the benefit and potency of hearing this message of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 17. Shrinvatam svakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridyantastuya bhadrani vidhunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Text number 18. Nashta prayeshu babadreshu nityam bhagavata sevayam bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Text number 19. tadarajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye chetayetera naviddham stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in the mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Again, welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the most exalted transcendental literature as preferred by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As we do every week, we will read a few verses from the Gaudiya Kantahar, chapter 2, called Bhagavata Tattva, the Bhagavata principle, which explains the glories of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Last week we read chapter 2, text 7 and 8. This week we will read chapter 2, text 9 and 10. This is from Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 25, text 98 to 100. Again, Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 25, text 98 to 100. Chari Vedopanishade Yatakichuhai Tarartalan Vyasa Karila Sanchai Ye Sutri Yerik Vishaya Vachan Bhagavate Sirik Shlokani Bhandan Ataeva Brahma Sutrira Bhashya Shri Bhagavata Bhagavata Shloka Upanishad Kari Ekamata. Vyasadeva collected whatever conclusions were in the 4 Vedas and 108 Upanishads and composed them in the form of codes as the Vedanta Sutra. In Vedanta Sutra, the purpose of all Vedic knowledge is explained, and in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam it is elaborated upon in 18,000 verses. What is explained in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and in the Upanishads serves the same purpose. Next, we will read from Madhya Lila, chapter 25, text number 93. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 25, text 93. Ye sutrakarta yise yadi karayade vyakyan tabe sutrira mula arta lokera hayagnan. If the Vedanta Sutras are explained by their author, Vyasadeva, their original meaning can be easily understood by the people in general. So these are very important fundamental truths described in this compilation that was ordered by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada for all the preachers in his mission. Again, today we will be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 4, text number 21. All English synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. As a little note and announcement, today is the disappearance day of Sripad Madhvacharya, the fundamental acharya of our sampradaya, and tomorrow will be the disappearance day celebration of Sripad Ramanujacharya. For those of you on the screen, there's a devotee named Bhakta Rupesh Chawan. He's composed a very nice pictorial photos of the birthplace of Ramanuja, and so many beautiful pictures. We've sent some of those out this morning. We'll be sending more during the day. But now back to number 21. Tatra Rigveda Dharapailaha Samago Jaimini Kavihi Vaishampayana Eva Eko Nishnato Yajusham Mutaha Tatra. Thereupon Rigveda Dhara, professor of the Rig Veda, Paila, the rishi of the name, Samagu, that of the Samaveda, Jaimini, the rishi of the name, Kavi, highly qualified, Vaishampayana, the rishi of the name, Eva, only, Eko, alone, Nishanatu, well-versed, Yajusham, of the Yajurveda, Utaha, glorified. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Thereupon, after the 4 divisions of the Vedas, Paila Rishi became the professor of Rig Veda, Jaimini the professor of Samaveda, and Vaishampayana also only became glorified by the Yajurveda. Purport. The charges of different Vedas were entrusted to different learned scholars for development in various ways. Text number 22. Atarabangirasam asit Sumanta Dharuna Munihi Itihasu Purananam Pitamero Maharshanaha Atarava, the Atarva Veda, Angirasam, unto the rishi of Angirasa. Asit was entrusted. Sumanta, he was also known as Sumanta Muni. Daruna, seriously devoted in the matter of Atarva Veda. Itihasa Purananam, of the historical records like the Puranas. Pita, father. Me, mine. Romaharshana, rishi of the name. Translation. The Sumanta Muni, Angirasa, who was very devoutly engaged, was entrusted with the Atharva Veda. And my father, Romaharshana, was entrusted with the Puranas and historical records. Purport. In the Shruti mantras also, it is stated that Angirasa Muni, who strictly followed the rigid principles of the Atharva Vedas, was the leader of the followers of the Atharva Veda. Text number 23. Taeva rishaya vedam svam svam vyasannane kada shishye prashishye stachishye vedaste sakina bhavan. Ta, they, eta, all these, rishaya, learned scholars, vedam, the respective Vedas, svam svam, in their own interested matter, vyasan, render, anekadha, many, shishya, disciple, prashishya, grand disciple, tachishya, great grand disciple, Vedaste, followers of the respective Vedas, Sakina, different branches, Abhavan, thus became. Translation. All these learned scholars in their turn rendered their entrusted matter of Vedas unto many disciples, grand disciples, and great grand disciples, and thus they became the respective branches of the followers of the Vedas. Purport. The original source of knowledge, or transcendental, which does not belong to the original text of the Vedas. No, there is no branch of knowledge, either mundane or transcendental, which does not belong to the original text of the Vedas. They have simply been developed by different branches of followers, as they were originally rendered by great, respectable, and learned professors. In other words, the Vedic knowledge in different branches by different disciplic succession has been distributed all over the world. Nobody can therefore claim independent knowledge beyond the Vedas. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namaum Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Bandhanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshataham Adadhanastrinam Dhanter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaha Śrīmad Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amshu Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadasu Asmi Sarabata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Shatakaromishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We see in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita how Lord Krishna explains Vedeshta sarver ahameva vidyaha Vedanta krid vedavideva chaham, that I am the person who is to be known by the study of the Vedas. The entire body of Vedic literature is meant to understand and to know Krishna. It is important to note that in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, compiled by Krishna Das Kaviraj and translated by Śrīla Prabhupāda, in one of his purports, Prabhupada explains, Vede Ramayane Cheva Purane Bharati Tatha Ado Anda Chamadyecha Harihi Sarvatra Giyate. That the Vedas, the Puranas, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, all the scriptures, from the beginning, the middle, and the end, they aim to glorify Lord Vishnu, Lord Hari. Now this is very important because we know there is a class of speculators, the Mayavadis or Advaitavadis, who claim that there's some other goal in the Vedas. They've never understood the purpose of the Vedas, to know and to serve Krishna, to understand the position of Krishna. This is very important. Krishna says in the 15th chapter, Vedanta Krid Vedavid, that the study of the Vedas is meant to understand Who is Krishna? In 1976 in Hyderabad, Andhra Pradesh, India, for Janmashtami, we had the celebration of the opening of the Radha Madan Mohan temple. And we had been warned by different local friends and life members and supporters that if you do not get local Brahmins to do this opening, people will not accept your temple. They will boycott this temple. They will say, this is a Mlecha Mandir. This is a Mandir of the meatheads, the meat eaters. So Prabhupada gave permission to basically have 12 South Indian Brahmanas, followers of Sripad Ramanujacharya, to come and perform these ritualistic ceremonies for 3-4 days. And this was done very nicely. At the end of these ceremonies, on Janmashtami Day, there's one devotee named Sampat Kumar Bhattacharya who had been very friendly and supportive of our movement, of Śrīla Prabhupāda's movement. He came to visit Prabhupada with his brother and a few of these other pundits. And they had a discussion about the meaning of the Vedas. And Prabhupada at one point quoted from the Narayana Upanishad, Brahmanyo Devaki Putro Brahmanyo Madhusudhana. The Lord Krishna, who is known as the son of Devaki, also known as Madhusudhana, he is the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, there are so many descriptions by Lord Krishna himself of his position, his transcendental position. It's not very difficult to understand. It is not very complicated to understand. It is actually very simple to understand. It only becomes difficult to understand depending on the kind of previous indoctrination or previous education one has received. I'm going to read here a little bit from a lecture that Prabhupada gave in December 13th, 1970 in Indore, India. This is a class on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 6.1.22. A class on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 6.1.22 on December 13th, 1970. Śrīla Prabhupada says, therefore, Vidvams Chakrete Sattvatsa Samhita, the most learned Vyasadeva, compiled the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And they do not take care of Bhagavata. They do not take care of Bhagavad Gita. They take care of a book written by some rascal leaders. That's all. The aim of that book is to kill Krishna. That's all. So how can you improve? It is not possible. If they actually want improvement, not only this country or that country, the whole world to world, one has to take this Krishna consciousness movement. Otherwise, it is doomed. So we are giving the best service to the human society, Krishna consciousness. You came yesterday? No. This gentleman? Yes. No, you are coming first. So that boy, he was to immediately offer service to join us. We can join you if you flatter me. Whatever I know, if you accept, that's all. Then I can. And if you say something against my conviction, oh, then I'm not going to join. But here the process is, you first surrender. Whatever you know, nonsense, you give it up. First of all, become blank slate. So I was told by some authority, a very responsible man, that in Germany, there are musical institutions. So when a student who goes there, who knows something about musical art, he's charged more. Is it a fact? He's charged more. He's charged more because extra endeavor has to be done to make him forget what nonsense he has learned. because this learning is all nonsense. So one has to take, just like so many people come, I have to talk so many hours to forget, to make him forget what nonsense he has learned. So he should be charged more, this student. And one who comes as blank slate, they've accepted Krishna consciousness because they are blank slates. And in India, they think they have learned so many things. Yes, they have learned from Hare Krishna, they have learned from Aurobindo, they have learned from Vivekananda, the Ramakrishna, this, that, so many nonsense, except Krishna. They have learned everything from so many nonsense except Krishna. Now here there is so much advertisement of Ramakrishna. Just see these American boys. They do not even know the name of Ramakrishna in America. So Śrīla Prabhupāda is explaining a very important point here. A very important fundamental point. That in order to understand the message of the Acharya, of the pure devotee, we have to come with a blank slate. We cannot come thinking, I know this, I know that, I've heard this, I've heard that, I've heard from this neomat, that neomat, from this person, that person. No. Surrender everything you have learned and learn from the beginning. Reset the button. Recently, I had problem with my cell phone. So I called one of these service companies who is managing this cell phone service and explained to them the problem. So the person says, what you probably have to do is reset the phone. Turn off the phone, wait 10 to 15 seconds, and turn it back on, and it may solve the problem. I followed his instruction, and it did solve the problem. So if one comes to the Acharya with some preconceived notion that I've learned so much from this person, this guru, this mat, this neomat, this advisor, that advisor, no. Just like Prabhupada gave the example in Germany of that music school. What if a student had learned so much music before, they would charge more. If one wants to understand Śrīla Prabhupāda and his teachings, what is Krishna consciousness? What is bhakti? What is devotional service? How to develop that love for Krishna and respect and affection for his bona fide emissary, his transcendental ambassador, Śrīla Prabhupāda, one has to learn from the starting point. Don't think that you know. You don't know. And this has been seen historically. So many persons who thought that they understood Śrīla Prabhupāda so much because they were physically with him. Oh, really? Why is it, from a historical perspective, that both in the 1937 Gaudiya Math and in the 1977 ISKCON, some of the biggest leaders and people who had the most physical association, the most living association with the founders, ended up to be some of the biggest deviants? Why? If mere physical association was a guarantee of spiritual success, why did this happen? Why did this phenomena occur? Prabhupada explains in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Madhya Lila, in the story of the Kaliya Radha. There was an incident where so many local persons were going to see. At night, there was some light in the Yamuna, and they thought that Krishna had appeared there. And Prabhupada makes a comment in one of his purports that unless one is enlightened by the knowledge given by the spiritual master, even though one may constantly remain physically with the spiritual master, he will not understand unless he is enlightened by the knowledge. So how is it that those who claim that they were so enlightened, that they had so understood Prabhupada's intentions and desires, immediately they started to change his books, change his teachings with nonsense, rascal misinterpretations? He has seen the truth and they have seen the truth. Oh, I see. They have seen the truth. Why is it that so many nonsense, duplicitous behavior infiltrated the society of the Acharya? Some may point out, well, there were problems even when Prabhupada was physically here, yes, but not to the extent that we saw after the departure of the Acharya. The floodgates were open. So this is important to understand, because many persons inquire, oh, what will happen to the mission? What would happen to the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? The real movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Śrīla Prabhupāda will go on very nicely. Thank you very much. There is no problem with that. Those who are bona fide followers, without personal motivation, without personal political ambition and personal hidden agendas, there's no problem for those people, regardless of where they are, or which mat or which institution they belong to or affiliated to it. But those who are hidden, who hide behind their personal agenda and their nonsensical desire for name, fame, power, prestige, aggrandizement, money-making, so many nonsense diversions, those persons will not be able to follow properly or explain the teachings properly. This is a very important point. That's why we keep telling about the word Vani incarnation. Yesterday, I received a notice from a very older devotee, one of Prabhupada's first disciples, who rendered tremendous service to the mission. He was asking for some help with some lectures which had taken place in Vrindavan, the Nectar of Devotion lectures in late October, beginning of November of 1972 in Vrindavan at the Radha Damodar temple. So I sent a little bit of information, what I had. And as part of the process, there was a lecture by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Prabhupada explained that you can directly associate with Rupa Goswami by reading the Nectar of Devotion, which is the authorized translation and the authorized exposition of the science of Bhakti Yoga by Rupa Goswami Prabhupada as translated by His Divine Grace, Śrīla Prabhupāda. Now, why is Prabhupada saying you can directly associate with Rupa Goswami since he departed in the middle or late 1500s? How is that? Because that book is none different from Rupa Goswami. It is the direct manifestation of the teachings, of the message of Rupa Goswami. Similarly, the books of Śrīla Prabhupada, the unrevised first edition, non-adulterated books, are the direct manifested presence, the Vani incarnation of the pure devotee. And those who are busy promoting their nonsense idea of post-Prabhupada book ideas and all their concoctions, if you listen to these people, you're taking your spiritual life, putting your spiritual life in great danger. Very important point. You know, every year there are people who go from Haridwar to Badrinath. Now, Haridwar, when you go up in the mountains near to Badrinath, there are some very narrow roads on the side of cliffs, on the side of mountains. And every year we hear that some buses toppled down and 20 people died, 40 people died. It is a very risky road, a very dangerous road. And if one is not careful, he can go down that road. If a bus driver doesn't pay attention, he can go down, and every year it happens. Similarly, it is no guarantee just because one has been so-called initiated by the pure devotee, that this is a guarantee of success. In 1970, when I got to Los Angeles at the temple, one devotee told me a story that had occurred very recently at that temple, where one devotee had left and he was breaking the principles and engaging in all kinds of forbidden activities, breaking the principles. So they went to Śrīla Prabhupāda, some devotees, and say, Prabhupada, your disciple so-and-so has left. Prabhupada said, what disciple? And Prabhupada said, if he doesn't follow his vows or the discipline that he has promised to follow, how is he a disciple? Similarly, we had personal experience in 1974 in Honolulu, Hawaii, at the temple, of one person who came to see Śrīla Prabhupāda with long hair and beard. And he paid his obeisances, and Prabhupada looked at him and said, who are you? And he says, I'm so-and-so disciple. Prabhupada said, you're not my disciple. And the person was shocked. He says, no, Prabhupada, you initiated me, you gave me such and such name at such and such date, at such and such temple. Prabhupada says, it doesn't matter. You're not my disciple. And the person was totally stunned. And Prabhupada insisted, disciple means you follow. And he pointed to Paramamsa Swami and Guru Kripa Swami. That is disciple. Shaven head, tilak, dhoti, mangalarti, 16 rounds, follow the principles, samkirtan, morning and evening. That is disciple, not this nonsense hippie with hair and beard. And the person was still arguing. And this was in the evening. Prabhupada was trying to drink his milk. Prabhupada took his milk cup and slammed it on the desk, and a little bit of milk spilled. I was right in front of Prabhupada's coffee table. Prabhupada says, I'm an old man. Let me drink my milk now. You can go. The point is, somebody may have received his official initiation, but do they follow? Do they listen to Prabhupada? Do they accept Prabhupada? Have they gone to some other so-called dubious outside advisors? This is very important. One has to use his God-given intelligence to discriminate. Do not be misled. Accept the Acharya. Just like that music school in Germany that was demanding that if you've learned so much more from other teachers, the price will be more. Everyone can come back to Prabhupada. Just give up all this nonsense pretense that you've learned something from some other advisors thinking that Prabhupada could not teach you. Prabhupada has given everything. Just listen. Just like Prabhupada, so many times when we were in Prabhupada's room, he would stop talking, he would say, just try to understand. So in the same way, let us all just try to understand the transcendental message of the Acharya. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Thank you, Yashodanandana Prabhu. And the fact of the matter is that Prabhupada, prior to 1965, before he came to New York, there was very little information about Krishna here in the Western world. There had been some previous so-called gurus that had come here, but ineffectively presented the treasures of India, the Vedic knowledge, to the Western-speaking people. I wanted to show everyone here, take a look. This is a book I have. See this? Now I have a couple of versions in my library. This is the another version. This is the life and precepts of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by His Grace, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Now this was sent in the at the end of this century, in the 19th century, to McGill University in Canada here. So in this way, it was coming out of India for the benefit of other people. There was an effort being made by our disciplic succession to present Krishna to others. But it wasn't until Śrīla Prabhupāda came in 1965 that the whole mission became a focal point for him, and the propagation of Krishna consciousness became a reality here in the West. So it is interesting to note that prior to Prabhupada's arrival, there was very little insight on the teachings from the Vedas, especially the Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Even though the Vedas are very vast, the Vedic knowledge is very extensive. For example, the Mahabharata has over 100,000 verses of truth, succinct shlokas to give understanding. Well, people say, well, I don't know anything about that. Of course you don't. You spend all your time watching TV or reading the paper or studying your phone. These days, the Gita is 700 verses. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is 18,000 verses. Chaitanya Charitamrita over 11,000 verses. So Prabhupada has successfully and beautifully summarized the real meaning of the Vedas in these literatures. And therefore, he requested us to read his books. And in this way, he summarized so expertly the philosophy of Krishna consciousness for us, let's say, uneducated people in Krishna consciousness. And I wanted to go back, Yashodanandana Prabhu, to the first canto, text number 41, chapter 3, text number 41, where Srila Vyasadeva made that received by his son, who is the most respectful amongst the self-realized, after taking out the cream of all Vedic literatures and histories of the universe. So the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is considered the cream of the Vedic knowledge. And even in that, Prabhupada has extracted the proper understanding of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for his disciples to read and study. That's all that we need to do. In the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, this is in the purport, in the second paragraph, that's chapter 3, text 41 of the first canto. In the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, such selected historical facts taken out from the histories of different planets have been depicted. It is therefore accepted by all the spiritual authorities as the Mahapurana. Special significance of these histories is that they are all connected with the activities of the Lord in different times and different atmosphere. Śrīla Sukadeva Goswami is the topmost personality of all the self-realized souls, and he is accepted as the subject matter of studies from his father, from Vyasadeva. Śrīla Vyasadeva is the great authority, and the subject matter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam being equally important. He delivered the message first to his great son, Śrīla Sukadeva Goswami. It is compared with the cream of the milk. The Vedic literatures are like the milk ocean of knowledge. Cream or butter is the most palatable essence of milk, and so also is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, as it contains all palatable instructive, as well as authentic versions from different activities of the Lord and his devotees. There is no gain, however, in accepting the message of Bhagavatam from the unbelievers, atheists, and professional reciters. The people in the guru business, I'm adding that, who made a trade of Bhagavatam for the layman. Go into business, make money, speak the philosophy, and take advantage of it to live comfortably. It was delivered to Śrīla Sukadeva Goswami, and he had nothing to do with the Bhagavat business or to maintain family expense by such trade. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam should therefore be received from the representative of Shukadeva, who must be in the renounced order of life without any family encumbrance. This was interesting to note, how Prabhupada was such a strict sannyasi. Milk is undoubtedly very good in nourishing food and drink, but when it is touched by the mouth of a snake, the mouth is no longer nourishing, rather it is the prima facie source of death. Similarly, those who are not strictly in the Vaishnava discipline should not make a business of this Bhagavat and should become the cause of spiritual death for so many learners. Spiritual death. I was mentioning to a devotee recently, Yashodanandana Prabhu, that Prabhupada had said in a lecture, if you get the wrong spiritual master, it'll ruin your spiritual life. Ruin it. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that the purpose of all Vedas is to know him, Lord Krishna, and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is Lord Sri Krishna himself in the form of recorded knowledge, non-different, non-dual. The Bhagavatam, the Maha Mantra, and Śrīla Prabhupāda's Vani incarnation are non-different than them. These people that don't understand this, it's because they don't have the capacity to understand it, either due to offenses, to weakness of heart, to confusion, to mental speculation, to a search for profit, adoration, and distinction. They fall into the traps of material purpose, material, mundane purpose in a world that's not real. Therefore, it is the cream of all the Vedas, and because it contains all historical facts of all times in relation with Sri Krishna, it is factually the essence of all histories. So something to consider, Prabhus. Yashodanandana, please.
Important point that are being raised here, because you mentioned the point about offenses.
Yeah.
There's a reason when people start spiritual life, they're advised and they're told to avoid certain offenses. Just like when people start chanting Hare Krishna, Prabhupada in his books, in his teachings, lectures, he gives so many instructions. Do not commit offenses against the holy name. And there's elaborate description and explanation what those offenses are. And the first offense that one has to be very conscious of is called Gurur Avagnya, to disobey the instruction and orders of the spiritual master, of the guru. If one starts and disobeys the instruction of the spiritual master, it's very difficult to make progress. Very difficult. One cannot rely on the fact that Prabhupada once said that he would remain in the universe as long as all of his disciples become delivered. Because Prabhupada said one time, well, first let him be a disciple. Let him follow as a disciple. And Prabhupada said, if he breaks the connection, then how can he expect help from the spiritual master? So the point is that anybody can follow Śrīla Prabhupada. It's not that there's like some kind of very difficult misunderstanding. It has only become complicated to understand because of the misbehavior of some so-called disciples who have misused their intelligence, who have misused the mercy they have heard from Prabhupada to twist and misinterpret his teachings. Prabhupada compared it to a great crack. In one letter in 1969, Prabhupada compares the disobedience of the order of the spiritual master and interpreting the spiritual master's instructions according to their desire for sense gratification, that this is a great crack. And he says, I'm always afraid of this great crack. Now, this is very important because we saw Prabhupada said this happened with his Guru Maharaj's institution, and we practically see from a historical perspective, this has taken place after Prabhupada's departure by the misunderstanding, mishearing, and misrepresentation of Prabhupada's instruction. Just recently, somebody commented on Facebook, oh, why is it that Yeshwananda did not immediately start talking about Ritvik and this and that? I said, first of all, one of these people in ISKCON, one of these original 11, made an outlandish statement in 1978 in August to a Gurukul teacher. There is nothing to be discussed. We have already decided everything. We have already discussed everything. They should just accept. Nothing to discuss. So where is the question of a discussion when somebody has that kind of mentality, that kind of mindset? And it's interesting to note that Prabhupada's will, the original full unedited transcript of that so-called appointment tape on May 28, 1977, was not available for 10 years. It was not. Partial transcripts were made, conveniently edited to support their interpretation, but it was not available. So it is a nonsense idea that some of us did not try to discuss the issues. I sent a letter on 1st of January 1979 to the chairman of the GBC requesting 15 or 20 topics for discussion. One of them was the difference between a full-fledged Diksha Guru and a Ritvik Acharya. What is the difference? No reply. No discussion. So these things have to be cleared up. These things are being cleared up and will be cleared up some more in a special event recording that we will make in a not too distant future about this issue. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
We're also moving forward, everyone, just to, before we get Jonas Priya and Ram Singh and a few others to speak, we're also moving forward to publish a new magazine. And this magazine will be on the ISKCON Guru hoax, how it came about, what are the historical facts, and it will be a very detailed, scripturally sound explanation based on Prabhupada's letters, extensive instructions in his classes and in his books on how a guru should become authorized by the pure devotee in disciplic succession. And this will hopefully clear the air. There are other books that are about it, but this edition that we're going to publish, it's a magazine, will be extensively researched and given give the proper understanding for all new people that are interested in taking up Krishna consciousness and not become bewildered by philosophy that is distorted for mundane reasons. Jonas Priya in Hawaii, could you maybe give us a few points on your on the topics that have been discussed here today at the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam reading and discussion?
Krishna, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda, please accept my humble obeisances. Yes, this we understand that Prabhupada said that at the time when he was getting ready to disappear from our presence, that none of the disciples had stepped up to the platform. So somehow or other, miraculously, a few months later, they all were the highest Bhagavats on the planet. Now, this is almost like you have to be very, very innocent to realize that this is not a fact. And they got together, and just like Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj said, yeah, there's nothing to discuss. We have discussed everything. And anybody that spoke against these guys at the time was banned from the temples. And a great man, I don't know the percentage, but it was a high percentage of Prabhupada disciples left the movement at that time. Now, just imagine you and me were God brothers. And then next week, when I see you, I'm supposed to worship you as Prabhupada. That's what happened. So this is, it's actually very ridiculous, but that's the way they decided to do it. And Prabhupada warned us. And he said, please, 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 do not let what happened to my Guru Maharaj's mission happen to my mission. So what do? They immediately did the same thing. And they appointed themselves as gurus. And we see the result was disastrous. Everybody, all of the great majority, all of them actually end up falling down in one way or the other. And it's still going on, and people are so enamored, so hypnotized by these personalities because they simply let them do whatever they want. The gurus that have the most followers are the ones that have the least restrictions for the disciples. And we see that these personalities are not following in any way, shape, or form Prabhupada's philosophy or mission, so much so that they dare to destroy Prabhupada's original books, Prabhupada's greatest treasure. And he put his blood, sweat, and tears into these books. And they come and destroy Prabhupada's books. This is totally amazing to me, and people don't realize that. They say, oh, well, the old books, maybe when Prabhupada came, they were okay, but at this time, we have to be politically correct and this and that. All nonsense, as we know, because we know that Prabhupada wrote these books to last for 10,000 years. So these books in 10,000 years, Prabhupada's original books, in any thousands of years, will be still the only bona fide source. Why? Because Prabhupada did not interpret the books for his own aggrandizement. Prabhupada never wanted to be famous or rich. Prabhupada had no need of any of these things. Prabhupada simply wanted to please his guru. So this should be our example, that we should try to the best of our ability to follow Prabhupada's instructions as he requested us, and forget about all these nonsense people and just carry on. And if we do that, we're guaranteed, Prabhupada said, if you simply follow my instructions, as I taught you, to the best of your ability, and you're enthusiastic about this preaching movement, then you will go back home. Hare Krishna.
Very well spoken. And the fact of the matter is, we're making an intensive study, especially at the beginning of our classes, on Prabhupada's early days in the preaching work that he was implementing in New York City, and then very quickly spread it to Montreal, to San Francisco, to England, like that, engaging the people that were coming to him sincerely to spread the mission of Lord Chaitanya. And it was a very short period of time, everyone, and remarkable success by him. In 11 short years, he produced all the wonderful books that we have. He opened all kinds of temples. He installed deities. He established Rath Yatras globally. Tremendous success that's affected millions and millions of people now in 2024. But unfortunately, when things are changed like they have been changed by a few ambitious people who never really understood this philosophy, but project or pretend they did, this movement has become, that he formed, has become totally dismantled. Just like we saw recently, Yashodanandana Prabhu, this one sannyasi, calling it the Neo-ISKCON movement. This movement, one of their own, business gurus, is telling all of his followers, he has thousands of them, and other people that are willing to listen to him, that basically the movement has become Hinduized, the Hinduization of ISKCON. And the fact of the matter is, that's the reality of things, especially in Toronto, Canada, where we bought the temple there, which is now worth maybe $30 or $40 million. It was never meant to be a Hindu temple. It was meant to be a preacher. Prabhupada said, now you've got this building. He sent me a letter. He said, now use it for spreading Krishna consciousness as this center of knowledge about Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, and the path back home, back to Godhead, not Hinduization of that temple. Of course, there's, hundreds of thousands of East Indians in Toronto. It's evolved since the 70s. And so it's like the easy hanging fruit. These few devotees that are left there, our God brothers, they're simply after money. I had a response from someone there who's in their board of management, not president. They've changed the management system, everyone. All these temples, the way that Prabhupada wanted them operated and the way they're being operated is bogus. You know what that means? Not real, farce, bogus. Because they've changed the movement to suit their purpose. And this person writes to me, oh, we've made so much money that's in the treasury last year. Oh, okay, wow. And we gave $110,000 to the BBT. Oh, wow. And what kind of books did you sell? The Yellow Gitas that have been changed, where you've now banned Prabhupada's books in the temple, like in Alachua? What kind of nonsense is that? And you know what bothers us more than anything? That we explain this to people with some kind of level of understanding, and they cannot see it. They cannot connect the dots. They're under some spell of confusion. Wake up, spirit soul. Jeev Jago. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya, or in the lap of the witch called the illicit ISKCON movement? I see that our friend Kanta made a comment, Yashoda, in the posts here. Maybe you could respond to that, about him saying people should reveal their bank accounts, their assets to the government, like the government requires their officials to reveal everything, what they do.
Now, this is a very important point. There is a purport in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam in the 9th canto, where Prabhupada is very ominously stating that there are many karmis in the dress of devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement. And the personality of Godhead is expert, I'm paraphrasing, to detect them. There's also another purport where Prabhupada said no devotee should ever claim proprietorship over any assets. Everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Prabhupada goes on explaining that all the money belongs to Krishna and everything should be properly distributed amongst the workers, the devotees. You know, this whole guru system was simply an excuse to take over the assets of ISKCON and claim false proprietorship over the ad. This is my zone, my temple, your temple, my disciple, your disciple, my money, your money. This is all nonsense. There was one guru in England who claimed, he explained the whole situation nicely. He says, it's my temple, my disciple, my money, and I can do whatever I want with it. Oh, really? So you've become like Krishna, you own everything? We have to think in terms of that everything in this movement belongs to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his representative Śrīla Prabhupāda. If any position anybody has, it's simply meant for service, not for false proprietorship. This is a very important point. I fully agree with Canto Prabhu. Very important that every guru, not just the guru, every temple president, every GBC, anybody who has any official position should reveal their assets. And why is it that they don't? What is it that we would find amongst their private accounts or private property? What would we find? That's the question mark.
I know what we'll find. Millions and millions of dollars. If they think we don't know, they're wrong. We also have experience in millions of dollars in our own private lives. We know what's going on, and we're doing it to try to explain to others. Do not fall into the trap of this fake movement that they have stolen from Śrīla Prabhupāda and all of his disciples. We've got one more person. I see their hands up, and then we'll move forward with the kirtan. But Nilash, Sham,
Hare Krishna.
Haribol,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Yes, Prabhu.
Go ahead.
Uh,
Question.
just
One more.
wanted to kind of share with anybody who is new in this group
Yes.
is that if you want to follow the real parampara system, this is the way to go. Because if you go to ISKCON and you think you're following the parampara system, that is not the parampara. Why? Because to be a part of the parampara, you got to follow the acharya and his words and his instructions. ISKCON ceases to follow the instructions anymore, and so they are not a part of the parampara. They may claim to be, but this is not parampara. When Prabhupada was on the planet, tell me if there was any question or any book which was banned from discussing with him.
Never.
There was no book banned. There was no question which is too dirty or too low for him to answer it. But today, if you go to ISKCON, there are so many books which are banned. There are so many questions which you cannot ask. Is this the legacy of the Acharya? And if you think that you're a part of the parampara because they have the lineage going on, they are wrong. Because the lineage has to be understood. If you were to read the purport of chapter 10, verse 14, which we just discussed right now in my other group, what is parampara system? Krishna is still in charge, you see. So if you are there to make money, nothing wrong to make money, but don't make money off Śrīla Prabhupāda's books or Śrīla Prabhupāda's ideas and then claim it to be that way. It's very nicely said in India, and one of the so-called disciples of one of the fake gurus also said that choose your career wisely. In India, at least, the best, the most elite, the most intelligent people in the class became either they joined the government through the Indian Administrative Service or the Indian Foreign Service or the Indian Police Force, so they become those. The less than that are those who becomes doctors, engineers, etc., etc. Below that are those who become clerks and other things. And those who cannot do even that, they become politicians. And even there is a category below that, is that if you are so fallen that you can't even finish school, what do you become? You become a fake guru.
Exactly. So thank you very much. We really appreciate your comments and your participation. And before we end up the class, I'd like to request Venkat, are you at your screen again still, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
I wanted you to put up the artwork for the classes and the invitation that you've created for us so that people can see it, Sham Shundar. And what we want you to do is, everybody, if you're interested in getting this artwork, we do request you humbly to request it from Venkat Bhatta Prabhu, and he'll send it to you in a format by which you can have it printed, Nilesh, in your area. And wherever you go, wherever you meet, whatever you're doing, you can hand this out and propagate this message through the medium of our classes. There we go. And up at the top there's a space there that you can insert. You can get a stamp made, or you can write in the section there your phone number or contact information. We should be out meeting people, preaching, explaining the philosophy of Krishna consciousness to others as part of our devotional service, our Sankirtan work. And if you can see how this works, if you've ever studied a business system called network marketing, what they do is they proliferate through networking their particular product or service. So in the same way, we want to do that. So if we have, say, 800 people in our network or 1,000 on our subscription, and all of you request this artwork, then that artwork, you can distribute it to your network. Like I have, say, 25 people in my area here that I'm preaching to, as Yashodanandana Prabhu knows, and he's meeting them ongoing. So, and they take the forms and they go out and distribute it to their network. So you see, it becomes a network of the holy name, of the Sankirtan mission. And in this way, we can use this simple system for spreading Krishna consciousness. That's all we're asking. Just disseminate the information. And people can come to our classes. They can study Prabhupada's books. They can study his lectures. They can study all the information that he's provided in his letters, etc., for their benefit and everyone else. And in this way, we can proliferate the message of Krishna consciousness without adulteration, Nilesh. That's the point. We have to work together as a group. This is like the bamboo. When you strap the bamboo together, everyone, when you have one stick of bamboo, it can easily be broken. When you have 5 sticks and they're tied together, then it becomes a weapon. So when we're tied together in the pursuit of truth for the human society, then this will become truly successful. So please get a hold of Venkat Bhatta, or get a hold of us in the best way that you can, however. And in this way, you can get this artwork and print it out in your area. It's inexpensive to do. And start dissemination, please. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next Wednesday for Chaitanya Charitamrita at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Canada and the eastern coast of the U.S. And we'll go now to the chanting of Hare Krishna, led by our spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupāda Ki Jai.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Thanks everybody for participating. Hare